great time.
I just heard, I swear,
Oh
every
God.
time. And it hit the ears too.
Yeah.
Turner, don't touch it. Gotcha.
This reminds me of the first day of SLA.
Oh yeah, I know.
Horrible days of orientation.
So should we do truths and a lie, or should we throw around this ball?
I'd rather throw around the ball.
I thought
These
she
are
was
really bad, annoying questions. You don't want to answer them.
I say that if you don't want to answer the question, you can replace it with telling me a really good non-factor.
Why would I tell you a non-factor?
Because I love non-factors.
Never mind. My computer is not turning on. Kyle, is this recording?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so if you don't like your question, can you close it? Yeah, please. Then you can just tell Nadette a knockback joke if you really want to, or you could just tell us your name, your major, your Senate seat, and an interesting fact. Okay? Do you have a question? Name, major, Senate seat, and an interesting fact. Could you open the door? So, I'll start off. My name is Aisha.
Hi.
I'm the speaker. That's my Senate seat. I'm also an at-large senator. So that means I have voting privileges and speaking privileges like all of you do. Except Kyle.
Yep.
And I hate this ball, so I'll just tell you an interesting fact about myself. I'm a math major, by the way. And I wasn't born in America. I was born in Pakistan at the age of 5. So I'm foreign. Go ahead with that.
Okay. So, I'm Nadette. I'm a health science major. I have an at-large senator seat currently. I've been in SGA for this is my 3rd year being in SGA. What is this question? So if you were a fruit, which would you be and why? I love apples a lot. So I would be an apple because I love them. I'm going to put this Kyle.
I was like, you don't even have anything here.
No, never mind.
If I were a sandwich, describe what I would be. No, I really like Italian subs. I'm not Italian, but they're so good. So that would be some, and then I have to describe the ingredients, dressing, and stuff. So that would be rabbit meat and like some Italian dressing.
Keep in mind, I want to like be done in half an hour.
Oh, sorry for describing myself.
Sorry. What's your Senate, Kyle?
I'm not a senator.
Exactly.
Based up.
He's our director. He's like
What are we
our
supposed
glue of SGA. Kyle.
Your name and answer.
Oh,
Thanks for describing me as glue.
No.
Kyle,
Can I
what's
start?
turning on?
Okay, my name is Danny. I'm a finance major, and
What's your Senate seat?
I'm a Senate seat for the College of Business. Let me find it.
That's not good.
No, that one's for.
Kyle.
No. What is my biggest pet peeve? Is self-introduction.
Oh.
Okay. I'm Desiree. I'm an econ major. I'm a at-large senator. And I saw one on here that I wouldn't answer, but I don't know where it went. Biggest pet peeve? Oh, hobby. Sleep. Like, sleep. All the time. Any day. Sure.
Okay. Hello, I'm Emily. I'm an accounting major. My Tennessee, I'm senator at large, and if you could trade places with any person alive or dead for a day, who would it be? It would be Olivia Culpo.
Oh, yeah. That's a good
Oh,
one.
Who?
Olivia Culpo. Do you want to know who that is?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay, she won Miss Universe maybe 3 years ago. I think she's I don't know what she's from Rhode Island. And yeah, and she did like smart and pretty, so it's for like girls, you know. So yeah, yeah.
My name is Ryan Merkel. I'm a freshman. I don't have a major yet, and I'm looking right now. And my senator is I'm a student organization senator. What's my favorite movie? I like Interstellar because the lights were pretty. And
I fell asleep to that movie.
I like that one.
it was so good.
It was good
The
though.
soundtrack was good,
Hi, my name is Rachel. This is my first year in STA, and I am an undergrad senator at large. Let's see. That's it, right before the question answer.
Yeah.
My favorite movie quote is probably anything from The Great Gatsby, which I know is technically not just a movie, but anything Fitzgerald. So I guess pass this to anyone.
Anyone?
Or Dan.
Alright, I'm Cameron Deputy, I'm a freshman, I'm the Penn Power Senator right now. I'm a political science international relations major. Let's see what my question is. I don't really want to do the sandwich one, you know. If you could possess any superpower, which would you want and why? I'd like to be able to get really good grades in my international relations politics class, but it's impossible.
Nice.
Alright, who wants it the most?
Like
Probably Marty. Marty is who wants it the most.
Alright, I'm Marty, and I'm a film major, freshman. My Senate seat is Senator at Large, and then I already did the fruit one. Okay, the coolest place I've ever traveled was Eiffel Tower at Paris, France. Who did
Koja. Or
Hi.
Hey.
My full name is Bo Erica, but I go by Erica.
That's you.
Oh, bless you. I'm a freshman. I am senator for student organizations, and I don't want to answer one of these questions. But a good fact about myself, or fun fact, is that I was born in Germany, and I used to speak German fluently, and I moved away, and I forgot all of it. So,
How long were you there?
for 5 years.
5?
For the first 5 years.
You're in the corner.
Hi, my name is Ariel. Some people in here will call me Catherine. Just ignore them. Ignore them as much as you can.
Why why? I feel like there's a story behind this. Why do they call you Catherine?
It says Catherine on my resume.
That's what I was saying.
Because no, it doesn't say on Orange Sync anymore. Because
That's what I was saying.
it said on my resume because that's my first name, but I go by Ariel because that's my middle name. I go by my middle name. And I'm a freshman, and my senator seat is the freshman class. So yeah, and a unique scent that I enjoy is definitely chocolate.
It's a long. My name is Nick Downer. I'm the urban grad senator. What else interesting fact about me, in lieu of doing one of these questions, I'm a dual citizen, US and UK. Do we have to do anything else? Is that it? Name, major, where we're...
That was fast.
Cool. I like to be efficient. Who else? Who we got?
Dual citizen.
My name is Santea. I'm an information systems major. I'm the other seat in the business college, and instead of this, a fun fact about me is I got to do a lot of work in 2 cities I like, DC and Pittsburgh, and decided I'm going to try to move out to one of those 2 after college. Anybody?
Hi everyone, my name is John. I am the Science and Health Professions Senator. So is it wherever your finger lands? Is that how you do it?
Yeah.
If you could travel in time for a day, where would you go? I would go into the future and figure out what the winning lottery numbers were, and then come back and win the lottery.
That is so nice. It doesn't count.
Would you give up on med school if that happened?
Probably not, but my life would be a lot easier if I
I
got
love you, though.
Who hasn't gotten
Koja.
Koja?
Hey, I'm Koja, and my last name is Koja. So, I'm a grad student, I'm a senator at large, and I'm an international student, not from here. Let's see.
Where are you from?
I'm from Saudi Arabia. Yeah. If you were a fruit, which would be fruit, maybe pineapple. Not because how it looks like, maybe just because of the taste. Anything else?
So we covered it all, but Sammy and
Did
Gabby.
we cover all? Samia?
You guys are gonna stay quiet, weren't you?
No, I mean, I was just waiting. I'll do it.
Okay, let me give you a good question.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Samia. I'm a sophomore. I am the senator for the College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences. Oh, and I'm majoring in international relations and political science. And just throw it to me so I can like prepare. If I could have an endless supply of any food, which one would it be?
Oh my gosh. Sorry, tough one.
I don't know if you guys tried those like little like macaroons.
Yes.
Like the little colorful ones? Okay, I just want an endless supply of those.
Sounds good. You can just like throw it away now.
Wait, what about Gabby?
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
there you
Gabby.
go.
I was being quiet. Okay, my name's Gabby. I am a junior. My major is health sciences, and I'm a senator for the College of Sciences and Health Professions. And if you could possess any superpower, which would it be and why? And it would be to read people's minds. Ooh, that'd be deep.
Okay. So now that we know more about each other, the first thing I want to talk about is scholarship criteria, because as you all hopefully know by now, at the end of the semester, you are eligible for a $300 scholarship. But that is representative, or that's based off of whether you've completed a senator project, how active you are, basically how much I like you. No, I'm kidding. It's not that. But that's something that at the end, the start of the semester, we have to determine for the academic year. So I want to be completely transparent and tell you my expectations for all of you are that you attend all the Senate meetings. You're allowed to miss one a semester. So Secretary Gretsch will be the one that lets me know who is missing anything. So if you do have an excuse and you let me know at least hopefully a week in advance. I know emergencies happen, but if you guys let me know before you miss a Senate meeting, that's all good, okay? So that's, as far as attendance, that's what I care about. I'm gonna say there should be at least like 4, I think, criteria for your scholarship. So that's 1, so maybe 25% of it will be your attendance. I also said senator projects. Now, I know that some of your senator projects might be a semester long, or some of them might be a year long. So I just need to know based off of, 1, the fact that you have a senator project, so each of you need to come up to me personally and tell me this is what I'm planning, this is what I'm doing, is it okay? If I approve, then that's your senator project that you should be working on in the office for 2 hours a week. And that's all good, but then I also need like updates regularly throughout the semester, and that happens through your office hours, but is not limited to them. And any of the old senators, please like chip in if you have any suggestions. But that would also be the second 25%. Now the last 2 I haven't really thought of yet. I'm in need of training as much as you guys, so I don't know like all the issues that'll arise or any special circumstances that'll come up. So I'm open to suggestions.
Or product should be probably part of it.
Based on the semester.
Well, it just depending on the size of the project, you would consider that.
I think, well, that's still within senator project. So what else do you think? Well, senator training, obviously, that's one of the criteria.
Don't you want us to talk about it at the meetings too, or no?
Oh yeah, senator reports. Okay, So the first two were, well, senator training, so the 17 of you that are here have gotten that covered, so that's all good. The others, well, they just need to come see me because I'm probably going to be deducting for that. But Senate meeting, you're allowed to miss one, so that's as far as attendance.
You missed 2.
It's one in the Constitution. Or maybe Paul told me that. I'll have to double check and let you know. And then senator projects completion or an update on that, and then you should also update the Senate on your senator project. So like Samia and Talicia did at the last meeting, you have to prepare a report and present it to the Senate at least once a semester. So if you need support from the Senate or SGA or anything like that, you would present to the Senate. If you have completed a project, you would tell the Senate. What other circumstances might you go for? I'm not sure, but you would have to talk to me and then we would get you on the agenda, and that's probably the last criteria for scholarship there.
Could you explain what the guidelines for the senator project are? What is considered appropriate and what isn't considered appropriate?
Right. So that's going to come up a little later on. For the people that are old, I just want to cover like unity first, and then we'll break out into new senators. Is that okay? Okay. So then next I wanted to talk about goals and expectations. As you can tell, there's a lot of you, and you're not really, this isn't a new whole Senate, but we're all sharing this space together. So as you can tell, the table's a little messy right now. There's some trash on the floor. If you open the refrigerator, that's pretty dirty too. So I think you guys, I think you're all responsible enough to clean up after yourselves, and that's what I expect of you. So if you notice like something's a little untidy, please pick it up after yourselves, because I refuse to do that. And I probably will have to at one point or another, but I'm not going to be happy about it. So I think that's as far as I need to know. Need to go into the office space. Expectations, be courteous to everyone. At Senate meetings, don't engage in debates and arguments and personal attacks. Be as professional as you can. If you have any problem with anyone, let me know. And we'll try and come to terms with that or find a solution as quick as possible. Is there anything else you guys have questions in regards to this office space?
Are we going to do anything this year about improving the chairs or, you know, some of the things?
Well, hopefully, whatever P&P is decided on, like that position takes care of this office, so hopefully that person will feel inclined to get in furniture. So whenever that's decided, it'll be announced by ASHA. Go to them, say, hey, as a senator, I would like, you know, for us to work on getting new furniture, something like that, and then they'll get back to you what they can do about that. So.
Yep, so that's under the P&P's jurisdiction. I will have one chosen, I think, by Wednesday, so you guys can complain to them about all of those problems, because they're the ones that really have to take care of the space and just look after me. At least that's what I always think. Okay, so as senators, you're required to attend, this is a new rule, you're required to attend 2 org events. So the treasurer and I think the vice president will be making a list of all of the student orgs that the finance committee will be funding, and then we're going to compile those into a calendar, and you have to sign up for 2 events that you can attend. And I don't think there really needs to be a report, you just need to let me know, like, hey, this was discussed. John?
Like, what if you've already been to one of those? Can you, what if I already went to an event that was funded earlier in the year, will that count?
I don't really know. See, they just want me to reinforce this.
Okay.
But I think once they come up with a calendar, they're really going to have more details. I mean, I don't see a problem in that. What about you, Nick?
I don't see a problem with it per se. I was just wondering, are you talking about like an administrative meeting of the thing, or are you talking about like an event that an org holds?
When I talked to Malik the other day, he said that a meeting was fine. I mean, so far we've already had we funded 30, 40 events, so I don't think it's going to be a problem getting to an event. But if you are aware of a meeting, I feel like those are more towards members, so you might not know all of them. But if you can, that'd be great.
I guess I'm just wondering, what is the point to get to know the org, or is the point to
Oh.
just like show that as SGA we're like involved with org events?
Yeah.
Like, should I go, like if I'm gonna choose you, should I do like an Eid party and like African Students Night, and that's cool? Or should I get it sit in on like two like meeting, like budget meeting minute type meetings?
No, I think the entire point of this is just to show that like, hey, we are your representative, so one, it'll help you getting to know other people. Two, I feel like the funding process is one that's unclear to a lot of senators, so this would probably reinforce that. Three, we fund so many events and like so many student orgs come up to us for help, and I feel like a lot of the time we don't even know what they're talking about. So if we can show our representation and support, I feel like that's better PR for us, which is something we're in dire need of. Yeah.
Do we need like, does it count like as an interaction hour, and do we have to take pictures at the event? Or how do you know that like we went?
Well, one, hopefully you guys are, you know, responsible enough to do that, but two, I don't know if I want to include it as an interaction hour, just because I feel like interaction hour should be towards your senator project. I think this is just an extra thing that I don't see a problem with anyone in student government really having a problem with. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think you guys should, you represent the student body, so why wouldn't you be involved with everything going on? Does that make sense? Obviously, I'll have more details once they're actually laid out, but that is the new expectation. So actually, that'll probably go into your scholarship criteria as well.
So, yeah, sorry for the question. I'm not sure I understand this. Are we attending the event? Would we attend the event, or would we help organize the event?
No, you would definitely just attend the event.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that we were possibly talking about like, at least introducing yourselves to the board at the event, something like that.
Okay.
Then again, you guys can like have a conversation about this right now and tell me like, what do you think would be helpful with something like this, attending events? What would you hope to get out of it, Kyle?
I think that, you know, I think that attending the event is more important than going to a meeting for them, for planning the event. Because really, I think what this is like just making yourself known to whatever organization this is, just chit-chatting with them and like talking with them. Because a lot of these events just go and we fund them, but we don't actually know what happens at these events.
A lot of the times the orgs that we fund, they don't even have an event.
Yeah, so this is also to police it, actually.
Yeah.
In a way. You know, like, students could charge other students for these events, which is not what our funding should be used for, so we need to make sure that that kind of thing doesn't happen too.
Also, if there's any confusion, when I said meeting, I meant like an organizational meeting, like a member meeting, not like, oh, you're planning the event with them. It's just like a member meeting of that event, of that organization or their event. Good. Okay. Any other conversation on that topic? Okay. I like conversation though, so you guys can continue. Okay, so office hours. I feel like everyone has a question about them. So office hours are submitted through OrgSync on a weekly basis. I would hope that I think the office hour requirements are 9 to 5. You should spend 2 hours a week, Monday through Friday, in the office towards your senator project. Any questions about that?
Submitting them, you guys probably need to know how to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so on my situation, I had just started submitting them like as of last week because I wasn't really sure about the process. So does that count as like a penalty for me?
No, not at all. Okay. They're not required until after your senator trainings, so they're going to be required next week. And now I also understand that a lot of you don't have a senator project, but let's make it so your office hours next week will be you coming up to me, discussing your constituency, what you think needs to be changed, or how you plan on catering towards your constituency. So are you going to be sitting outside in the interlink and like talking to people that pass by, or are you going to have a survey made with Kyle, and are you going to be like, what does the business school want, or how else? Yeah.
I was going to say additionally something that I found helpful was especially if you're like a college-specific senator, you can set up a meeting with your dean, and you can both give and sort of take feedback at that point. You know what I mean? Like if you have observed things, you could meet with them about that, but also it's important to establish relationships with them so you can move forward on stuff. So you could do that if you're really trying to get out there.
That's something that you really should do.
Yeah.
That's really good you mentioned that, because that's something that, like, if you're a college senator, you really should be reaching out to your dean and, like, introducing yourself and creating a relationship with them, you know, asking them either asking them if whatever project you have, bringing that idea up to them and see how they like it, because, you know, you are representing their college, and see, you know, what they think about that, and or they can give you an idea. So after today, go ahead, reach out. There are ways to find their email. Just, you know, be looking up your dean online, figuring out their email. If you guys can't find it, you can ask anyone in here to just help you look online for it. But yeah, I would set up a meeting with them.
Definitely a perk of SGA. You meet people that I don't think the regular student body meets. So I would definitely use that to my potential. So aside from dean, obviously faculty and professors can definitely help you out too. So reach out to them. They might have some suggestions. Obviously your friends, but I think you want to broaden your horizons and talk to people you wouldn't normally talk to. Okay, so office hours will be submitted Monday through Friday, and they should be submitted or done between the hours of 9 to 5. And the Senate door is also open between those hours. So if I walk past and it's like 9 a.m. and the door is still closed and like people are studying here, just keep the door open, because we want to create an welcoming environment, not intimidating environment, so people are more likely to like talk to us. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Just so I feel like not everyone knows how to submit office hours. So all you do is when you're on OrgSync, and then you go under student government, you go under forms, and then there's this little search bar right here. Just type in office hours, search it, and then it should come up as the first option. And then when you open it, so right here, then it will ask you to just begin a form. It'll ask you to begin the form, and then it'll bring you to here, and then you guys are all senators. So, you know, you say Senate office hours, continue, and then it will just ask you for the date, start and end time. See, for a little confusion like I had when I did these is that sometimes I'll do my hours at like different blocks. So I would just say, hey Paul, by the way, like I did my hours on 2 different days, but I'm just gonna would put the 2 hours in for like the one thing, and then I would just describe the 2 different days in the description below. Does that make sense? So, oh no, go ahead.
So you just used like one day for the actual date thing in the description. You listed both dates?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah, and actually no, that was under Paul though, so it's actually up to Aisha if that's okay. If you go ahead, tell them.
You can always just do 2 forms.
Yeah, if you want to do 2 forms.
If you guys want to be as transparent as possible, but I don't care if you guys do. You just say like, oh, I'm in here on Thursday, so I'll submit it for Thursday and like say 12 to 2, but really you're only here from 1 to 2. But as long as you explain it to the best of your ability in your description, it's fine.
So if you're here like not within the hours of 9 to 5, like last year Paul didn't care. If like we were here, then we did like 6 to 8 or something like that, and we just counted it from like whichever hours. But as long as we were here doing our office hours, is that okay?
I don't know, because I feel like didn't you say that he did care?
No, he didn't care because I asked him.
Do the hours 9 to 5, do they conflict with anyone's schedule to be? Just because when you're here 6 to 8, I feel like there's less activity, so you're less likely to like also go outside or like see more people around. And I have to talk about interaction hours next, but interaction hours are when they're hours spent on your project outside of the office. So you would be going outside into, say, the business school if you're a business center, the science school if you're a science center, or maybe the Interlink or wherever you really want to that day if you were an at-large senator. So that hour can also go to your office hours. So for that, I definitely want it to be between 9 to 5. It's Alicia.
Okay, so a request for me is like last year I went to senator training. I had like individual senator training, and I got a very vague description of what was supposed to be in the description.
Description of the office.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now remember that I have to read all of them, so I'm not saying make them as short as possible, not at all. I'm saying make them as descriptive as possible. What exactly did you do? You emailed someone, who did you email, and why does that matter? So there was the senator last year, Alex Roth, and he had the most questionable submissions ever. Half the time they didn't even relate to his project, and just dealt with like really graphic details about everyone's personal lives. But he made it fun for Paul to read, which he really appreciated. And I would really appreciate that too, but as long as you put your office hours in there as well. So they can be as like weird as you want, as
just remember that Jamie, like, student rep can see them too.
Oh yeah.
Just don't feel like illegal or anything.
Oh yeah. So yeah, make them as fun to read as possible, but also just get the point across. Like, this is what I did, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I've done so far. So I know that you're working on your project, and I know that you've been in the office, and I know you're doing your job, and I know you deserve your scholarship. Does that make sense? Okay.
By the way, we're like at a halfway point.
I know. Okay. So interaction hours. Does anyone have questions on those?
What's the setup here? How are we doing this? We need to submit them as an office hour, and we also submit photos to you? I don't really remember how we were supposed to do it.
Last year they sent it to the Director of Student Affairs, which was Andrea Hooks last year. So they sent it to her, and then, can I show them how to do it?
You can at the end, possibly, because I want to wrap it up soon. Well, not even. I have so much more to talk about. But so the Director of Student Affairs is the person that deals with interaction hours, but they haven't been appointed yet. So.
Basically, office hours, you just go to the end link over here. You set a table. You have like a tablecloth, or you'll have like this like stand thing that we have. Then the tablecloth says student government on it, and then you just say hello to people. Mention any issues you have. You'll ask them any improvements you want to see on CSU, and then you have them write it down, and then as your college senator, or for whoever you represent, you can go to your college and do it out there too. So basically, that's interaction hour, just going out there and talking to people. It could be sitting at the table, or just just walking around to your own.
Yeah, I feel like once you have a project, that would be more helpful, because I know last year with Multi-Faith, we came up with a survey, and we just sat outside and tried to get as many people as possible to take it, and that was an interaction hour.
We didn't sit, we walked.
Yeah, we walked. You can walk too. You don't have to just be bored outside.
So do we send photos to someone?
Not unless, as of now, no. If the Director of Affairs says, hey, I need proof, then yeah. But that was just Andrea last year.
I'll be happy with just you telling me that you did it and me seeing you out in the hall. Until that person comes in and is appointed, I think that'll be fine.
How would you recommend getting someone, if you wanted someone to come up and talk to you, would you suggest waiting for them to come to you? Because because the logic with that is that there's been several times that I've been walking the Interlink, and I've actually wanted to run away from people. When they had the pizza in the courtyard, and I think it was a Hillary thing, I saw the pizza, but then I saw the Hillary tablecloth, and I'm walking in the opposite direction, and they tried to get my attention.
There's an art center. Yeah, there's an arts interaction hours, and you just have to be the most confident version of you.
Okay.
Christine was the queen bee of interaction hours, so if you need any help, I would recommend talking to her.
She'll show you. We have this really cool stuff here.
I will show you how to set it up. I'm gonna set it up right now. Right now, or you have all
we do only have a half hour.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about I run through the rest of the stuff real quick. Technically, old senators can leave right now if you feel comfortable, but I'm just gonna, if you want to talk about helping these guys out with meeting stuff, Robert's rules, motions, you can stay.
Do you want us to help you?
I would love it, obviously.
All right, we'll stay.
Okay, so good bad examples of senator projects. Well, I don't know what I just said there, but I really don't know what I said. I think I deleted something. So good examples of senator projects last year.
Flip water.
That was a good project.
That wasn't a good issue.
The Dan McCarthy Memorial Bus Stop?
Yes, that one. So last year, our urban senator, Dan McCarthy, do you guys know the bus stop by Main Garage? He's the one that put it there. he emailed a bunch of people, got RTA to agree to it, got CSU to agree to it, and then that went up as the Senator project. He used the Senator project money to have it done and everything, and everyone loves it now.
It was literally like a bare slab of concrete that people would like huddle sadly as they waited for the bus, and now it's a bus sign.
And it may sound like simple, like, oh yeah, we just put a bus stop over there. No, he did so much work. He worked with a lot. He had to work with the RTA system and then a CSU, getting stats from the students. Like he had a
he like made confidence intervals of like how likely people would want to use that. Like,
wait, which bus stop was it?
He's so smart.
It's the one right over here.
Yeah,
you know how
the side?
What else?
Yeah, the one on the side of like where you wait for like your 55 and stuff out to the
So
west
like
side.
between main classroom and
Oh yeah, oh I got it. Okay, so last year,
The shelter.
bring it back guys. So last year, is that she was the science senator as well.
Yeah.
Are you still, I don't know, you're at like,
Yeah.
she and the other science class senator proposed the idea of making a website specifically reaching research in the science building.
Right. Overall goal is still to make the process of like finding research as undergrads more known to students. Because like right now, if you ask most students and you ask them, hey, like, are you interested in research? Yes. How do you get it? I don't know. That's usually what you'll get. So goal of the project is to solve that where they do know how to go about finding research. So last year we went through possibly like putting up links so that students can get to a portal of open positions to now currently it's more to because we have to I mean I guess I could go through I don't want to waste too much time but that's really all you need to know for like that is a good project to a problem that's out there something that affects most students or at least for my college most students in my college and yeah so that's what made it good something that's something that can be fixed it's like feasible and it affects a lot of students so.
I think Rashida's project last year was getting a coupon book together. So she, oh, you want to
I'm
talk?
collabing with her.
Okay, you want to talk about it?
I'm not really good with description. Well,
was it like for restaurants around?
Yeah, so like basically we're working with a company.
Yeah.
And it's gonna allow, restaurants around the area, 20 restaurants where you can get like coupons and like discounts for like CSU students. So it will kind of be helpful towards like towards students being able, like most colleges have things like that. So we're just trying to like get that to be a feature at CSU, and I'm pretty sure students will appreciate it.
Is there a list of senator projects? Like, is there some sort of documentation?
I don't think so. There will be in the future. I hope so.
Is the project in the virtual?
It's a perfect senator project.
Yeah, maybe let's just senator project.
Kind of.
I don't know about that. But yeah, we'll definitely record what all of you guys are doing, especially because I want you guys to collaborate if it's possible. Yeah.
I'm a student organization senator. There are 2 other ones. Do we all work together for one senator project, or is it separate?
Either way.
Okay.
Either way.
So I know the science class senators have collaborated a lot in the past. You guys could. At-large senators, I feel like a lot of them, but you're not.
It's nicer to work with somebody, I think, to like be able to bounce off ideas, and then if it's a bigger product, you're spreading out the work. So I would recommend it, but also to.
Then again, you can help people without making it your project. That is also a thing.
Yeah, that is.
Ariel.
Something for a senator project, could it be like organizing an event, or is it like actually changing something about like the CSU?
It could be improvements, it could be an event, it could be something completely new. So a bad example of a senator project that a lot of people do in the past, especially college senators, they get food together and have it open to everyone in that college and they just ask like, so what's going on? Or like, at least that's what they say they're doing. But I feel like a lot of the times it's just you feeding people and you saying, I talk to a lot of people. So I don't want to see those as much this year. Obviously, if you have like more of a conversation, I think in the science school in the past, like you've had like the dean there, and like the dean could answer questions. So like as long as you make it like bigger and better and like more opportunity involved, I can see why it's more important to have an event like that. I mean, I'm not like trying to like block off any of your ideas. Obviously, I want to like bounce off of you and like just make it so we're reaching more people and also we're broadening our horizons. Because I feel like in the past we've been kind of lazy.
A really cool event product that was done last year. I don't know if you guys know Paul. I think some of you do at least. So what him and Simi did was, but they actually just had that like the first week of this school year. He did it again, but he also did it with 1964 this year, but he was with us last year. So they had career services come down, so they had like people reviewing your resume, giving you interview tips, and another station, something with like that, something career related. So you would he had to like bring in your resume, and then you'd get tickets like from each table that you visited, and then with the ticket you could get food. But with the goal of that was to look at polish your resume, get interview tips, and just kind of help you with getting out there and like finding a job and career and whatnot. So I'm not sure if any of you were at that, but that was a very successful one, I thought, event-wise.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not familiar with his name. Was his name Alex?
Alex Roth?
Yeah. Didn't he do like I'm not sure if this is an SGA event, but didn't he do like an event where it helps students get prepared for graduate school, like a whole week towards it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I was new, so I was like, but I thought it was a nice little idea what he did.
And I also think Sammy's about to fall asleep,
oh, no.
but I really like the idea of watching the debate together. I feel like sometimes we're a little skewed on our idea of what student government can do, and I think that's just something that encapsulates our message.
So what's an idea of a project?
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. I feel like I would not have raised my hand when I was new, but how have you guys already? I'm going to talk to you. Anyway, but yeah, so I feel like sometimes, because like 1964 and CAP, like they're all leading organizations that have something to do or like offer the entire student body like us. But I feel like we really need to hone in on what student government can provide, or like opportunities that specifically student government can do that no one else can. Kyle?
So like last year there was the great project that was the Flint Water Drive, which was like an excellent thing, but at the same time it wasn't really student government's responsibility to be doing that. That was a Viking expedition, but we still did it. And it turned out great, but that's just something that, that's one example of how we need to hone in on what student government.
Yeah, I wonder if like a senator like working alongside Viking expeditions, if that could potentially be still a senator project, but we just don't headline it. That could still be a project.
I mean, you can also have it as a collaboration.
Yeah, we love building relationships.
Yeah, and we can pull from the collaboration budget.
Yeah. Daniel?
I remember Mo Yasin, and that had a really great project. It was about getting clothing, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was for Syrian refugees?
Yep.
Okay, so that was a really great project, and then they had a really great like wrap-up meeting at the end of the school year with kind of like some pictures and like how that all went, and that was really good, I thought, to see. But yeah.
Yeah, when we opened, like we kind of had like, we asked like everyone that like on campus like donate like clothes, and we sent them to refugee camps overseas. So sounds very simple. It was a lot of work, but also very cool.
Pretty sure there was like 70 hours of work toward the senator project compared to like the 2 hours a week.
And that's just like a great example of like somebody seeing a need and like kind of trying to fill it. So another thing that I would just like to add actually is like try to find somebody like not necessarily like an administrator, but somebody who's been at the school for a little while that you might identify as like wanting to help you with your project. I've gotten some really great advice from a lot of people I would not expect to, just if you ask a little bit. Just whoever you can contact, because usually they have an idea of where like to point you in the right direction or somebody to go to.
I feel like there's always good conversation about projects, and as you can tell, there's some really experienced people in the room. At my first senator training, I met Dan McCarthy, and I introduced myself to him unknowingly, and we became friends right off the bat, and to this day, I still go to him for any questions, and he's not even in student government or CSU anymore. So definitely introduce yourselves after senator training and like get someone's number. Get my number. Technically, you should all have it because I emailed it to you, but I feel like no one actually saves it.
You can even reach out to President Berkman if you want to. He responds to all student emails.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel like we could go on and on about projects, but I really want to talk about meetings and motions and all those things. So reminders that it's encouraged for you to talk because only senators are required to be at a Senate meeting. E-board, cabinet, they're just there out of their own free will. So really the main audience at that meeting is you guys. So if you don't understand something, if you have a question, if you aren't happy with a motion, speak out. It's okay. I'm not going to like be annoyed that like, oh, you're making us like talk about this when we're already done with it. No. The entire point is to get good conversation, get conversation that deals with the positive and negative side of a topic, and to represent the entire student body's voice. And obviously, we're only 30 people, so if we can continue talking about those issues, then I think we're helping.
Yeah, and I don't know, I think, I remember coming in as a senator, it took me like probably the best part of a semester, if not longer, to realize that nobody else had any idea what was happening either. Like, it took me a long time to be like, oh, I'm not the only one who doesn't understand why this budget looks the way it does, or like why this is on the agenda. So I feel like using the discussion periods to be like, what is this? Like, how did we get here? Like, what are these numbers for? What does this budget mean? Like, those kinds of questions you might be reluctant to ask, but also just plug away at it, because oftentimes other people also don't know.
Yeah, Christine?
So like if we go into executive session, so that basically means like if there's somebody in the room that's not like in SGA and they can't hear on how we deliberate, then they have to leave the room and then we can talk as a body about whatever motion is on the floor. And Speaker King is gonna talk about what a motion is and all that stuff. But if like things come down to a deliberation that only us as a Senate can talk about, then everybody who's not involved has to leave the room. So that's kind of like what that means if you don't know what executive session means.
And like things we can't do during executive session are like make rulings on, well actually we can't talk about finances at all, which we've done in the past, so we can't.
Well then how?
It has to be discussed in committee.
Yeah, or the people need to be in the room when we discuss it, and you can't take any action, so like we can discuss what we could potentially propose as a motion, but we can't actually do that. There's other things, obviously they can be seen in the Constitution, but that's just a special thing that we sometimes go into. Okay, so when we're in a meeting and a lot of people want to talk, you obviously raise your hand, and in the order I see them, I would call on you. No senator can talk before everyone else in the room that wants to talk has talked, unless, you know, they're like answering a question for you, then obviously it's okay if you guys talk as well. Any questions about that, like order, hierarchy? There's really no hierarchy, but order. Okay. Obviously, when you're addressing someone and you're not happy with something that they're doing, please make it sound as professional as possible. I mean, if we wear business casual clothing, we might as well act like, you know, professional as well. No tags. Please leave them out of the room. I know we don't always get along, but at the end of the day, we're here for a common purpose, so let's work towards that purpose. Electronics. I really, really, really hate it when I see cell phones and laptops in the audience. I know, no, you're fine right now, but I know that sometimes it gets really boring and like I'm not like the most entertaining person in the room, but if you could just hold off until, what is the latest we can go, 6 p.m., that would be great. By the way, yeah, Senate meetings are only allowed to be 2.5 hours long, so you'll never be there longer than 6 p.m.
Unless we vote to just extend it, which is happening.
I know that I've seen like other senators have like iPads where they actually have what you have on the screen but closer to them.
Right.
So is that like a
right? Yeah, that's fine. I mean I would prefer like a notepad, like you're writing it down. But I understand if you're taking notes on like an iPad. But I know it's really tempting when you're on a MacBook to just check your iMessages. But I would really appreciate it if you don't do that. Also, there's a recording that's happening, you know, every time you're in that room, and you guys might not watch it, but I, for some odd reason, I love rewatching Senate meetings. Even when I wasn't speaker, like I would like make popcorn and just watch them again. We have a YouTube channel, CSU Student Government Association, so all of our Senate meetings are live for anyone, anywhere in the world to watch. So if you don't want them to see what the heck you're doing, please don't do it. So keep a professional tone, watch what you say, not everything in a meeting stays in a meeting. and sometimes, so I could get into that, but I won't. Motions. Okay, now we're gonna practice motions. Does any old senator want to make up a motion? And then we'll go around the room so everyone has practice making a motion. Christine.
I move to allocate money from my Senate discretionary fund to bring more chairs into the Senate office.
Okay, so then I would say the motion on the floor is blah, 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 do it here a second. But notice how Christine did not say I motion to. That's the biggest pet peeve of every experienced senator in the room. You never say I motion. You can make a motion, but when you make a motion, you say I move to. Does that make sense?
So, say, I move to make a motion then, or?
Just
no,
I move to.
I move to. I move to, okay.
And then if you're dealing with money more often than that, you'd say I move to allocate this from this.
Oh.
I move to Nadette. What do you move?
Do you want me to do a finance one?
No, don't do it.
Okay. I move.
So talk about like the budgets that you can get it from, like discretionary.
Oh God. I think that's something that Treasurer Singh needs to cover. But I mean, if you guys have copies of finance budgets, those. I have one. We have in our budgets, finance, one-time $250, PR, community outreach, public policy, United Student Orgs, collab, senator projects, and discretionary budget. So of that, oh, and also executive board, but that's not listed here for some odd reason. But of that, we really play with finance only. That's what we use to allocate money towards student orgs. Discretionary budget is for the Senate, and senator projects has a balance on it as well. Of that, you guys get $250 each towards your projects. We don't touch the executive board budget. That's something we can't do. That's something they can offer to like provide us, but more often than not, they won't. What else? Anything else about budget?
No, you guys covered it. You guys get $250. Finance budget is for student orgs. Discretionary is for our usage as a Senate. Yeah, that's usually what we use. Then this collaboration budget, that's for when orgs come together and they want to do something together. That's solely for collaboration. And then if one of them's ever running out of money, then like one reason why we would be moving money is because, let's say like discretionary is about to run out, so we would be like, I would say I move to allocate $2,000 from the collaboration budget to the discretionary budget, so we can use whatever we want it for from the discretionary budget, and then someone second, and that'd be good. That'd be one example as to why we would be moving money.
One thing that was helpful to me, because it took me the longest to actually figure out the finance budget sheet. I asked like a experienced senator to, like I had a sample one, so I asked them to basically label each category in like what it was for, so that I could have a sample to look at just in case I ever got confused again about it.
Yeah, we probably should have her under come up and explain all those in full, because that's like I basically gave you guys like that's like my limited knowledge my limited knowledge of the budgets. So we should have her under.
I think during our SGA retreat we're going to have. It's all right, camera. Oh, are you awake or are you just writing stuff?
I'm writing
okay. Awesome.
It's the most dedicated one in the room.
Oh, sorry. During our SGA retreat on the 22nd, we're going to have a portion of the time dedicated to finance. I think everyone needs to know how to submit a budget request for a finance hearing, for a finance hearing. So we're definitely going to get you accustomed to that very soon. Moving on, I want to go back to motions. John, do you want to propose a motion? The most common one.
Okay, let's
meeting
do this.
minutes.
I move to use my Senator project money to buy a coffee machine for this office.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Sorry. We're not doing dinner anymore, so it's okay if you can go over if you need to go over.
It's a good idea.
Okay, but I guess.
Okay. Let's pick on a new senator then. Let's have Emily make a motion. This is so exciting.
It could be like anything. You could ask for like
a bounce
house. Yeah, and just go
just make
for it.
something up.
Okay.
I moved to allocate funds
Yeah.
from the discretionary budget into just another one. I don't know. I just don't know my names to like okay whatever to fund a bouncy house.
And it's wrong. Danny, now it's your turn.
I moved to allocate $300 from the finance fund to organize a dinner for the Senates.
Okay, does someone second that motion?
A second that motion.
Ariel second. Does that propose a friendly amendment?
I move to friendly amendment.
I propose a friendly amendment.
I propose a friendly amendment to make that $400 rather than $300 towards our dinner.
Oh, wow.
Now, Danny, do you accept that friendly amendment?
Yeah.
Great. And then a second.
Ariel, do you accept that friendly amendment?
Yes.
So the new motion on the floor is to allocate
$400.
$400 towards our dinner. Nick?
Point of clarification, where will this dinner be held?
This is how it would be conducted.
Oh, Chipotle.
Chipotle.
That's a lot of money for Chipotle.
You're gonna have double meat.
Order in the court. No, you guys can't all talk out of order. No, I'm sorry. Is there anything else to add to?
Object.
We're not in objections right now. We're still in discussion. John, did you have something to add? No? Talicia?
I have a question about meeting minutes because I still don't understand that.
Okay, so then we would stay in discussion, then I would ask for objections. If there's an objection, then there's a couple ways actually we can do it. There's a ballot vote, so when you voted for me as speaker, there's a ballot vote. When, more often than not, we would just go through a roll call vote and the secretary will ask you yes or no. During that time, you're voting, I did not know this until Paul told me when I was talking about speaker stuff. He was like, when we're asking for objections and they call your name, you say yes or no to the objection. So say you agree with the $400 towards dinner, then you would say no, I don't want to object. Say you want to go back to $300, so you would say yes, I object. Does that make sense? So when you're asking for objection, it's a yes or a no to the objection.
And before that, if you're not clear about like what the objection is, ask her to clarify, and she has to clarify for you what the objection is.
Yeah.
You have to know.
I was gonna say typically, I mean, I don't know if this is either good practice or if you have to, but either way, typically you'll outline that at the time, right?
Oh, yeah,
So
I
you'll
have
be
to
like, a
repeat
yes vote means no, a no vote means.
And you can call me out on it. You could be like, what is it called?
Point of clarification.
Yeah,
Is it point of clarification?
yeah. But
Okay.
yeah, so make sure you're clear, you can like, don't go into the line.
Yeah.
Is it legal to move your money for for your senator project to something else? And how much of that?
Well,
money for
I
your
know,
project?
I think you had said like from discretionary to finance, that probably would not have made sense, but if it's like, we didn't have any money in discretionary, you can move from finance to discretionary. Cameron?
If you pair up with someone on a senator project, does that mean that your budget doubles?
Yeah, so you would have $500 at your disposal. Yeah.
But also to Erica's point, you can't, or can you, actually, I don't know. So say I have 250 for myself and I think that, like, I don't know, like an MSA luncheon is a really good idea. I can't allocate my 250 to that because I think it's a good cause though, right?
No.
Right, so that's like, so you can, but you can't do that if that makes sense. Like you can use it for something else, but it can't be just like, I like this, so I'm gonna try to fund it.
Yeah.
So there's no cap on that. You can allocate it to anywhere else.
By Senate vote, technically, there's no cap. So you would have to get off the backing of everyone in the Senate. And also, you guys realize when a motion passes, it's not like, oh, this person agreed to it and this person seconded. No, it's the entire Senate's vote that went into it. It's not just, oh, I don't really know what was said, but it seems like everyone else agrees, so I'm gonna stay quiet. Your vote is counting there. So if there's a problem, if there's a concern, address it before that, because you are also to blame if something, passes that shouldn't have.
So is it unanimous then?
What?
Like, would it have to be unanimous for a motion to pass? Like, for example, if you don't say anything, it's sort of counting towards a unanimous vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have a lot of power. Like, honestly, you are the most powerful branch in our government. Nothing happens without the Senate's consent. Sure, the president could veto, but at the end of the day, I don't think I've ever even seen the president, anything the Senate's done. So,
Next year. I just have another quick question. So say we're in discussion about something and there's not going to be unanimous agreement. What is the correct language to use to be like, I move to take this to a roll call vote? Is that the appropriate?
Well, if we're already in a motion, we would either have to object it and like, if a motion dies, then we can move on to something else. But if the motion's still on the floor, yeah, we would go into a roll call. If we're discussing for too long and there's more stuff on the agenda, then I'd probably make a recommendation to either table this for another meeting or refer to committee or, I don't know, I think there's one more thing we can do. But so tabling means we would discuss it at a later meeting. So you could say, I move to table this discussion for whatever meeting. You could say, if it's a finance thing and there's lots of discrepancies in the budget that we aren't agreeing on as a Senate, more often than not, I would want it to go back into committee because those are the senators that we have trusted with that job to make the wisest decisions. So you can say, I move to refer this matter to committee. So that could be for finance, it could be for SARB, it could be for SAM, all of the different committees that you have a choice to be on. Does that make sense? Okay. We can also, obviously, before the speaker elections, we had to recess. So if something's not going correctly or like we're waiting on someone, I move to recess this meeting until whatever. I think that's about as much as I want to say.
Like say, like for example, I have fencing at 6 o'clock, like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So like if, for example, our meeting extends past 6 o'clock, would I be able to leave? Or would it be required that I stay? Because I can stay, but like
technically you can leave whenever you want. The thing is that Olga notes every single absence. She notices every single tardy. So like at this particular meeting, Matt Walsh came in at 3:41 p.m. So I'll have access to that. So it's not like it's not obvious to anyone. But I would recommend in that situation, if we're going past 6 p.m., I would definitely just go to your practice because you weren't required to be there at that time. Okay. Any other questions?
Can anyone say anything on the floor, or do we do moderated caucuses?
Well, what I think you're asking, because I don't really know all that political jargon, basically, sorry, each motion on an agenda, it says open discussion or SGA discussion or something. And there's 3 types of people in the room. There's informal guests, there's something else, and something else. Formal, informal, and observers, there you go. So informal guests are those that just sit in the back of the room and Olga takes their name. They don't have voting, obviously. No one except the Senate has voting rights. They have speaking privileges with my discretion. For formal guests, they do have speaking privileges, so they can raise their hand and I can call on them. Observers are people like from the media, and they don't have speaking privileges and they don't have voting privileges, obviously. When an organization comes and they're going to talk about a budget or something and they're sitting in the back of the room, only one person in that organization has speaking rights, and the rest are just there. Does that make sense that I need to?
Could you provide an example of what an informal and formal guest would be? So would Boyd Yarborough be technically considered a formal guest?
Yarborough is one of our advisors, so he would definitely be a formal guest. So informal guest would be probably you guys before you join the Senate. You guys have speaking privileges based on my discretion, but you don't really have much say other than that. Alicia.
Okay, so I have another question I brought up. Could you like give a description for meeting minutes, or can you like make an example of how to meet them?
So meeting minutes, why we have that is just to be on the same page at every meeting. So when Olga sends out meeting minutes before a Senate meeting, that's just a recap of what we discussed in a previous meeting. So technically, you're supposed to be reading all of those. And you should know what happened at previous meetings that you didn't attend. So when we ratify the meeting minutes, that's basically just you agreeing, like, yes, I'm aware of what happened. Yes, I'm aware that I was marked tardy. Yes, I'm aware of anything that happened at the last meeting. So if you agree with that and you agree, like Rashida called me out during my speaker training, she said there was a period missing. You can be that nitpicky. You can say like, oh, I don't think my name was spelled right here. So when that happens, we can ask Secretary Gretsch to strike something or insert something or add something. So you would agree to that down there.
Yeah, and I was gonna just also, I don't know, so me and Irvin, we work with nonprofits and a lot of, so I'm like really aware of how important meeting minutes actually are, because they also serve as like a permanent record of what you did. So that's the other function, is like if something, right, so like Olga's sitting there typing things out, right? So she's just like summarizing as things go down. But then if you read the summary and you're like, that's not how I remember it going, or like that's not how it was written, it's worthwhile and important to bring that up so that we can get a consensus, so that it goes in the permanent record as what actually happened, because otherwise you can have the facts not lining up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so if you do notice a discrepancy in meeting minutes, at that time, when I open the floor to discussion about, or when I ask for a motion for the meeting minutes, you would just say, my name was spelled wrong. And then Olga will fix it, and then you would entertain a motion, and the motion would go like, Marty, do you want to make a motion about ratifying the meeting minutes? So you would say, I move to ratify the meeting minutes and insert the date.
So I move to ratify the meeting minutes from
The October 7th.
October 7th. Okay.
Meeting. And then I would ask for seconds, I would ask for discussion, objections, hearing none, the motion would pass. And that way, we are all aware that what happened at the last meeting happened, and we are held to that standard.
And that's the point when you can step in and say, I object because my name is spelled.
You can say that within discussion. You don't have to necessarily object. Yeah. All right.
Okay, so is all of this, like that we're going over, is that all outlined in the Constitution? Or is there like an SGA syllabus that we can look over if we have any?
There really should be, shouldn't there?
I feel like that would be helpful, like for me especially, because like I listen, like it's easy for me to like understand what people are saying. Sometimes I have to go back and read something to understand it. So I feel like that would be helpful, especially for us.
As senators, I feel that we should all have read the Constitution. Then again, it's like 14 pages long, and I feel like not everyone likes it. So I, to this day, have not read the full Constitution. I've read bits and parts of it that pertain to my job description. But each time I do read it, it's a great read, guys. It's really informative, and sometimes you're just like, wait, we did that, but we weren't supposed to. So it's really helpful to know those things. For Senate meetings in particular, the operations manual, which I also linked in my email, that is really helpful. It talks about dress code, it talks about motions, it talks about executive session.
And a lot of how like Senate meetings are run is based on Robert's Rule of Order.
Yeah.
Right, so if you want to get really into it.
If you want to really get
that's
into
the book for you.
And I have a book if you guys are looking.
Yeah, I think there's a cheat sheet online, maybe I'll send that to you guys. And that way you can test my knowledge of Robert's Rules, which isn't that vast. So I know a new thing that we decided to do at my speaker training was they so moved, which we've never done before, so I was like, okay, I guess I'm going along with this. But that's more like if I say, does anyone want to ratify the meeting minutes from this meeting? And instead of repeating that long, tedious line, you could just say, so moved. And that, yeah, but I'm not used to it, so I have to be. But, so if I like propose a motion and like you don't want to say it, you can say so moved, and then I'll ask for seconds. Is that good? Clear? Anything else you guys want to add? I hope we can all become friends. Christine, if you want to set up the kiosk now.
Hey guys, I'm Christine.
And if one of your friends isn't here,
Nick, can you help me?
Please yell at them.
Okay, so this is like this kiosk that we can use. Like if you want to set up a table in the Interlink or wherever your college is, you just like take this apart like so, and then